Welcome students to another day in the foods classroom. Previous to starting this particular recipe for German oven pancakes, I have washed my hands for a minimum of 20 seconds, as well as I have read over this recipe. I've assembled my ingredients and my equipment, so all I have to do is go right through it. German oven pancakes is a wonderful and fun and very different way to have eggs. I think it kind of resembles a pancake. Not really, but you'll see what I'm talking about. But it definitely has an egg taste to them. I have gone ahead and preheated my oven to 400 degrees, which is step number 1. And now I'm ready to put my margarine into my glass dish. Wanted to talk just a real quick moment about choosing the equipment to cook in, because it will affect the way that your German oven pancake turns out. German oven pancake will come up and it'll bake up and it'll make this big bowl if you use a glass dish. If you use a metal one, it'll still taste great, but instead of forming a bowl shape with it, it will be more like mountains and valleys, just so that you know. I personally like the look of the big bowl. It's just very exotic and different looking, so I'm going to do that. I've got 1 tablespoon of margarine put into this lovely piece of wax paper. I'm just going to place it in the middle of my glass pie plate, and I'm going to take this over to the oven and I'm going to put it in. I'll be right back. As I open up the oven door, of course, I'm going to let the initial blast come out, and then I'm going to open the door all of the way so it doesn't spring back on me. I'm going to place my pie plate in the middle of the oven, and then I'm going to close the oven door. That won't take that long. So I'm going to go ahead and let it do its thing, and while it is in the oven and it's melting, I'm going to go ahead and come down to step number 6. Now, though I'm going to do this, I wanted to talk just a minute about margarine. You can use butter here, but I actually like to use margarine better because it has a tendency not to burn quite as quickly. All right, step number 6 says I'm going to put these eggs in a small mixing bowl. I'm going to crack this, and I like to try to do it one-handed. That way I don't end up with egg white all over me. If I do get egg white on me, or if you use 2 hands to do it, like if you do it this way and open it up, you are going to get egg whites on you, and you are going to need to stop and wash your hands. Now, when I just did that, I ended up with just a tiny bit of eggshell that went into my egg whites, and since nobody wants to eat that, I'm going to take a minute and try to fish that out. I can use my fingers, but I like to use the eggshell. It has a tendency to stick to it as I drop it back down in. Okay, I'm going to stop and wash my hands real quick and get that egg white off. I am going to use soap because on that egg white, it could have salmonella, and if it has salmonella and I turn around and touch something else, that bacteria is just waiting to cause problems somewhere else. All right, so I have my eggs right in here, and I'm going to use my whisk. I'm going to beat this till I can't tell the difference between the egg whites and the egg yolks. Beat, 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 beat. After I beat those up really nice and good, I'm going to add in the milk, the flour, and the salt. And it says I need to have 1/4 cup of milk, so using a liquid measuring cup and squinching down at eye level, I'm going to spot that 1/4 cup and measure it 100% accurately. And I will put that in. There's my milk, my flour. You know how to measure flour by this time. You're going to stir that around and floof it up just a little bit. I'm sure floof is a cooking term. Put that in my dry measuring cup, and then with the straight edge of my metal spatula, I'm going to level that off. Pop that in there. And the last thing is I'm just going to put a dash of salt. Dash of salt is less than 1/8 of a teaspoon. And you can do shake, shake, or you can put just a pinch in your hand and just a tiny bit. And then we're going to beat this. And we're going to beat this, trying to keep the flour in, Mrs. Wiscomb. Trying to beat this until everything has come together. And you're going to try to beat out all of the lumps of flour. And the more you beat it, the more foofy this German oven pancake will be for you. Try to incorporate just a little touch of air in there. Now, I've got my internal timer on saying, go check the butter, Mrs. Wiscomb, because I don't want it sitting in there so hot that it's going to turn around and burn. I've got a hot pad that I can put that on as soon as it comes out, and I'm going to go get it, okay? Here we go. I'm going to open up the oven door. I've got a hot pad in my hand. Let that initial blast come out. Ooh, it looks like it's mostly there. I'm not quite trusting it. I'm gonna stir this just for another 10 seconds or so. And then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna see a little bit of sizzling on that butter, just a touch. In the meantime, I'm gonna beat the heck out of this. All right, and now I'm gonna go get it out. Again, I'm gonna open up that oven door and let that initial blast come out. I'm gonna pull out the rack, and then I'm gonna carefully bring my hot plate over here. See, the butter's completely melted. It's important that you melt it in this pan. You want the glass dish to be super hot, and it says that we're gonna take this and I'm gonna swish it around to grease the bottom. Kind of a little bit careful, a little bit cumbersome right there, but I want to make sure that butter gets everywhere on the bottom of that pan, otherwise I'm going to end up with my egg mixture sticky. All right, that looks pretty good. Oh, one more whisk just for the fun of it, and then we're ready to put it into this hot dish. All right, that looks pretty good. You might see actually the eggs even starting to set up around the outside edges, just a touch perhaps. If it doesn't, no big deal. And now you're gonna carefully go back to the oven and put this back in. Notice that it says you're gonna increase the oven temperature to 425. Don't miss that one little step. So it's going back in at 425. Again, I'm gonna pull out the rack, place it in there, and then I'm gonna bake it at 425 for, as the instructions say, 10 to 15 minutes. What do I set the timer on? I hope you said 10. So I'm gonna do that. We're gonna stop where we're at right now, and we'll come back and see the back end of this, okay?